No offense, but your brain is a terrible place to keep your big idea. It belongs in the world, but you know that already. You have a calling, a voice that says, this is what I'm meant to do. Create the website your big idea deserves with Wix. Make it your own with top-to-bottom customization, AI to help realize your vision, and built-in business tools to turn your daydream into your dream job. Wix supports every stage of the business journey except one. Your decision to begin. Ready? Go to Wix.com.
American Giant makes great clothing, sweatshirts, jeans, and more right here in the U.S. Visit American-Giant.com and get 20% off your first order with code STAPLE20. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com, code STAPLE20.
This is VSiN At the Track, the road to Kentucky Derby. Now here's your hosts, Mike Somich and Aaron Halterman.
We are back here, VSiN At the Track, road to the Kentucky Derby, just 1 hour away from the 151st Run for the Roses. I am Mike Somich. He is Aaron Halterman. And Aaron, we have got someone who is just phenomenal here joining us on the Progressive Guest Line, Steve Bick. You can find him at Steve_Bick on X. You can hear his show At the Races, which is celebrating 25 years on SiriusXM Channel 162 and SiriusXM Channel 207 from 9 a.m. to noon Eastern every single weekday. He is as plugged in as anybody to the ownership, the trainers, the backstretch there, and he's joining us from Churchill Downs. Steve, how is it going today over there at Churchill?
Well, if you're a duck or an angelfish, it's a good day. No, as I say, this is my 25th Derby, and I would guess a third of them have endured this kind of an afternoon. It's not unusual. The racetrack is able to take kind of abuse from the weather, and it doesn't take away from everybody's good time and the betting action. Racetrack actually has been fair. The horses have been winning from all over, and like you say, we're an hour away. There's a few surprises probably on that tote board that were a little unanticipated, but you always get that as well. Everything's in place for a terrific Derby.
Well, first off, Steve, I got to congratulate you. Aaron and I have both been at Kentucky Derbies when it's rained, and we ruined our suits on those days, and yours still looks phenomenal there. Still looks like it's in good shape, so hopefully that lasts throughout the day. Now, you mentioned some of the surprises on the tote boards. Since Rich Strike won, we've seemed to have the Rich Strike effect where horses just don't go off at 50-1 or higher. You're getting a lot of storylines that get bet down. I'm assuming you're talking about, Sandman sitting at 5-1, Render Judgment taking a bunch of money as well. Which is the most surprising to you right now?
I actually think that I would think that Luxor Cafe becoming third choice. Last I looked, about half an hour ago, 25 minutes, basically supplanting Sovereignty as Sandman. You knew Sandman would take money with, the storyline. The Render Judgment betting is a little bizarre. I know it's the Toby Keith scenario, and there's been a lot of that, but still, and I guess McPeak, it's the McPeak effect from last year, and it's been kind of, frankly, Kenny McPeak all the time the last 12 calendar months. I would have thought that Torpedo Anna's performance yesterday might have put a damper on that, but honestly, now that I think about it, 4-1 on journalism is the best story. $10. If you were offered a fixed odds of 4-1 on journalism 2 days ago, you would have jumped at it. So there's some interesting things going on, and there's also some of the exotic horses that are just being completely ignored. That especially under the conditions, the wet track, and some uncertainties. This is a field that has very little experience on wet tracks. So there's really some mystery. I think there's been some added mystery going into this, and it's playing out on the tote board.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. It is crazy what that tote board is doing right now, and we'll just see as we get close. I mean, we've got a lot of money in that pool. I don't think it's going to change too much. Now, Steve, Mike said earlier that you've been at the track. You've been, talking to the owners, the trainers, everything like that. In your opinion, after the week of doing the shows, who is the buzz horse, kind of under the radar horse that's getting a lot of buzz of the locals there at Churchill Downs?
In some ways, the local story involving Ethan West is really nice, with Chunk of Gold, and Whit Beckman, who had Drexel Hill run a terrific race yesterday in the Oaks to be second. And everybody should be aware that she's worked with Flying Mohawk, who is going to be a monster price here today, and I think has got a decent chance, at a lower rung of the exotics. So Whit, who's local, and I'm enjoying those stories. I think Biley has been, I think, very popular with Coal Battle, but it's not really in a position, it seems, to have much expectation. To be honest, there was some concern that he might not even be allowed to run as we got closer this week. But I would say the two local stories are probably the best. And if you wanted to get a bit of a mojo horse, I guess it's Final Gambit. I don't get him at all. And I mean, I understand why there's some interest in him. Is a horse going to do something for the first time, and that's go on a main track? Harvey Pack famously said, never been on a horse to do something for the first time. Now, of course, the majority of the field is going past 9 furlongs and 9.5 furlongs for the first time. But running your first dirt race in the Kentucky Derby, it's a tall ask. It's Brad Cox, it's Juddmonte. It's a horse that actually is not badly bred for dirt. David Aragona from the Racing Forum and from NYRA made the case with me yesterday that Final Gambit's a horse that just in terms of the way he's moving on dirt, he looks very different than he did as a 2-year-old. So I understand people making a case for him. He's getting bet. I mean, he's in the low teens. So there are some people. He's got a little bit of a challenge, I thought, from down inside. I think you're better off being a little wide and being out toward the middle of the gate than being down inside on a track that's this wet.
Yeah, Final Gambit, an interesting horse to me, but underneath. I don't see him being able to win the race, and I wouldn't bet him, especially at the current odds that we're getting out there. Now, Steve, we had the privilege of having you on a couple weeks ago, and at that point, you like Grande to be able to win the race, and you were also interested in journalism. Grande not in the race anymore. Who is your top pick today, just 1 hour out from the Kentucky Derby?
It's been journalism, and journalism has been my play. Honestly, you go back to November. This is actually funny because Hill Road, the Chad Brown trainee that surprised in his first North American start in the Breeders' Cup last year in the juvenile, I bet Hill Road in the first Kentucky Derby future pool. So as he was making his way, into Derby Trail prep races, I went back in my account and I said, let me go see what I got. What did I have here? What did I bet? Well, I bet Hill Road, and he was 59-1. But I was also delighted to see that I had journalism at 53-1. Oh. So I've had a rooting interest in journalism all along. And then I was at Santa Anita, and this is a horse. People have been listening to the show. I've been talking about Barbaro for 2 weeks. He physically looks like Barbaro. He's a hulking, imposing horse. And he moves and covers a tremendous amount of ground. Something's going to have to really go wrong. And I don't want to pin everything on Bertoli, but he's going to have to get in trouble. And I mean severe trouble, I think, to stop journalism today. I think he's a lot like Good Cheer was yesterday, and I think he'll win like Good Cheer won yesterday, just resoundingly. And especially now at this price, you can have a lot of fun with him. I mean, I'm live to him in a bunch of multi-race and multi-day bets. The Oaks Turf Classic Derby Pick 3, the $3 3-year-old Pick 3. So everything goes through him. After that, though, let's talk about Burnham Square, who absolutely comes into it really off of a tremendous work and has really looked like he's set for his best. Baeza, I was there at Santa Anita. John Sheriffs wanted him into this Derby in the worst way, and he gets in. He actually is going to benefit from the absence of Rodriguez and Grande. He can stalk from out in the 19 hole and find a good position with the best jock in the country, Flavian Pratt. So I'm using Baeza third, Sovereignty I respect, and then the crazy prices that could be third, fourth, and fifth. I'm using Publisher and Flying Mohawk.
Now, we've only got about 30 seconds left here, Steve. You love journalism today. Do you love journalism in 2 weeks as well? Is this a horse that you think has a shot at the Triple Crown against this field?
Probably does, given his style. And, we'll worry about that at 7:03. That'll become the first question when the recapping starts. But yeah, he's got the right properties. He's a horse that's designed to go a route, and that, this year, don't forget, the Belmont would be at 1.25 miles. He would not have to go 12 furlongs. Not that he would struggle with that. So 10 furlongs, 9.5, and 10 in 5 weeks, he absolutely could. But let's get him away at 6:57.
Literally putting the cart in front of the horse with that question. So I appreciate you answering it. Hopefully we do have a shot. It'd be great to have a Triple Crown chance headed to Saratoga. Steve, thank you very much for the time. I know you're a very busy man on Derby Day.
Not at all. Mike, Aaron, enjoy. Get lucky out there today.
Appreciate it. He's Steve Bick. You can find him at Steve_Bick over on X. And, of course, you can find him at the races every single weekday from 9 to noon Eastern on SiriusXM Channel 162 as well as SiriusXM Channel 207. Make sure you check out stevebick.com. Now, Aaron, on the other side, we have another guest joining us here. We're going to have Jeremy Plunk join us from ExpressBet and FirstBet, our show sponsor here. Make sure you stick with us. We got you covered wall to wall leading up to the Kentucky Derby in just 45 minutes here on VSiN at the Track.
Running a business is hard work. Building your website shouldn't be. With Wix, you can express your ideas, give direction, then leave the heavy lifting to AI. From site creation to branded content and images. Have fun with the details. Customize what you want the way you want. And manage your whole business from a centralized dashboard with expert AI tools. Build, scale, and enjoy the incredible results. You can do it all yourself on Wix.
NetCredit is here to say yes to a personal loan or line of credit when other lenders say no. Apply in minutes and get a decision as soon as the same day. Loans offered by NetCredit or lending partner banks and serviced by NetCredit. Application subject to review and approval. Learn more at netcredit.com/partners. NetCredit. Credit to the people.
Tuned in to VSiN at the Track, the road to the Kentucky Derby, right here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Welcome back in here, VSiN at the Track on Kentucky Derby Saturday. Whether you're joining us over on channel 158 on SiriusXM, if you're joining us on the VSiN Watch app or any on those terrestrial radio stations, we appreciate, as well as the audience in with us on Mad Dog Sports Radio. We are just 45 minutes from the Kentucky Derby, Aaron. And we've got another guest joining us here on the Progressive Guest Line. We're lucky to have him because it is a busy day over at firstbet.com. Make sure you check them out if you're looking to bet the Kentucky Derby. Jeremy Plunk, happy Kentucky Derby Day, man. How's it going?
Good. Happy Derby to everybody out there. And it's almost here, right? We've only waited 365 days for it. And for some of us, we've been looking at these horses since Breeders' Cup or the beginning of the year. So the Super Bowl is here, We're through all the Hall of Fame game all the way through the Super Bowl, kind of the way we follow these 3-year-olds. And so we're ready for it. Hopefully the track conditions hold up here for horses to not just hate the conditions, As long as we get a fair run out of all the horses that run. And today's results have been very formful. The horses expected to run well have, and that's a good sign.
It's always interesting on these big days, especially on Kentucky Derby Day. You mentioned it, Jeremy, the lead up to it. We have been talking about these horses for literally 5 months at this point. Now we're finally here on Kentucky Derby Day. I know you're a big player yourself. Who do you like in this year's Kentucky Derby?
Well, I hate to be on the favorite, especially after last year with Fierceness, as bad as he ran, right? He's still trying to finish last year's Derby, but I have a little more confidence in the consistency of journalism. I think he's the best horse in this crop. He's slayed every Bob Baffert Dragon in Southern California, multiple horses going back to the Los Al Futurity, to the San Felipe, and to the Santa Anita Derby. Baffert's just sent 2 or 3 after him every stop, and he's beaten all of them. He's gotten faster on the back end of his races. I know his last race wasn't as quick or as glitzy in the Santa Anita Derby as his San Felipe was, but the finish home time there, he came home in like 12 and 1 the final 8th. When he had to run fast that last 220 yards, he had it, and he delivered, and I think that's the kind of, tenacity that you're going to need in the Derby. I don't think it's going to be a breakneck, tremendous amount of front-running speed in here that has the ability to last, I think it could be a very fast pace where many of those in the pace mix are done at the top of the stretch. I can't imagine that the pace players are going to string you all the way down the lane. So you're going to have to outkick some other horses to win this Kentucky Derby because the cavalry is going to come calling on the far turn.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. It always does. So I kind of had this thought, and I want to throw this to you because I love journalism in this race as well. When I saw Good Cheer yesterday, I said to myself, that's what journalism needs to do. That trip is what I'm talking about. Is that kind of what you envision for journalism as well, getting that sort of trip where he's kind of mid-pack but not way too far behind?
Yeah, I hope he's not quite as wide as she was. She was wide on both turns, and, you don't want to be too wide on the first turn of a race. That's kind of wasted energy. You think of track and field, right? You want to be in lane 1. You don't want to be in lane 5 in track and field. The first turn, there's nothing to be gained by it. On the second turn, if you're wide, that's not a big deal because that's when your momentum doesn't want to be broken, right? You want to just kind of keep coming with your sustained run. So as long as he's not wide on the first turn, and from post 8 with the scratch of Rodriguez, he'll actually lead from stall 7 in the starting gate. He shouldn't be. He should be in a really nice position. And we thought about it, the post position draw, all those front running speed horses drawing to the inside. They can just kind of go out there. Journalism's probably going to be on the rail or the 2-path going into the first turn if the race kind of shuffles out like it looks like it could on paper.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful spot for journalism. You've got all that speed to the inside and closers all around him. So he's the one who just gets to sit right in the middle and be able to take that 1-path or 2-path and to get that beautiful stalking trip. Now, Baeza gave him a scare in the Santa Anita Derby. You mentioned it. He was able to run him down. It did have a little trouble, journalism, on the backstretch as well. If you're using journalism on top, is Baeza a horse you have to include underneath? And if not, who else are you using there?
I hate to be wishy-washy, but I think Baeza's best race is his next one. I don't know that it's this one. He was really gawky in the Santa Anita Derby. He was looking at the grandstand. He was cocking his head. Even when he came off the far turn, he took his head completely out to the right and looked at the grandstand. Where's he drawn in this field? Next to the grandstand. He's the outside horse in here. He may spend the first quarter of a mile looking around, and if that's the case, it's going to make it a lot more difficult. He did a lot wrong in that race and still almost won, which tells you how much talent he has, right? So does he put it together this quickly off of that race and the training up to the Kentucky Derby? If he does, it'll take a special effort to win from out there in the 19 hole, but he's a very talented horse who I think the Preakness may be his best spot next if he were to move on the trail. But I would have to use him in the exotics here. But I don't think he's a must-use. I think there's some others in here that you probably want to consider a little bit more. Sovereignty, I think a little more proven goods. What he did in Florida was excellent. His race over the track last year at Churchill certainly doesn't hurt. Not the same kind of conditions that we're looking at coming up here with the sloppy track. But, he's talented, and I think he's going to run his race. I think the Japanese horse Luxor Cafe is going to run a big race. I expect him to really be flying at the end. I'm not exactly sure what kind of trip he's going to get. I'm hoping mid-pack. Hopefully he's not too far behind journalism, maybe 2 or 3 lengths behind that one. And I think Luxor Cafe has a chance to really pick him up and roll late. Hand timing and looking at the GPS tracking from his race in Japan last time, he absolutely flew home the last quarter mile. It was the fastest final quarter any horse has run on dirt in a final prep race anywhere in the, for this year's Kentucky Derby. Final Gambit did run faster the final quarter in the race on synthetic, and you see that happen more often on synthetic when he won at Turfway. But as far as dirt goes, that Luxor Cafe finish was massive. And he's coming out of the same race the horse who ran 5th in the Derby last year came out of. So while he didn't go to Dubai and some people thought he didn't take the hardest path, the horse who came through that same race last year, only 4 beat him in the Kentucky Derby, and this horse looks to be considerably better than that horse whose name was T.O. Password. If he's considerably better than the 5th best horse last year, that puts him in the number, right? That puts him in the mix that you want to look at him, for Exactas Tri-Supers.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think he is a horse that comes over here with a chance. Sooner or later, the Japanese horses are going to come win this race. They're winning everywhere else.
Right.
They've got a great shot to win here one of these days for sure. Big question here. When you look at Luxor Cafe and you look at Forever Young from last year, but boy, he almost had it. Do you think they're similar? Do you think Luxor Cafe is that type, or do you think Forever Young might just be a little better than him? I'm kind of trying to get a comparison between the two.
I think the pedigree for American racing is better with this horse, Luxor Cafe. He's by American Pharoah, an American Triple Crown winner. He's a half-brother to Regal Glory for Chad Brown, who made $2.6 million on the turf right here in the, red, white, and blue. I mean, he's got pedigree, and so I think he's more equipped in that category. He's got Joe Moreira aboard, who's ridden in $1 million races in Hong Kong with big fields. So he's even probably a little more seasoned than Rai Sakai was last year. So he's got a better pedigree, he's got a better jockey. I don't know if he's a better horse, but he's got some things that go for him that might be better. And if you remember the start last year, we thought Forever Young was done at the start. He was kind of broken in a tangle and back to last and circled basically the whole field to lose by 2 noses. If Luxor Cafe gets away like he has in his other races, which is somewhere in the middle of the flight, then he's got a little advantage over Forever Young too in the ease of the trip. But again, I don't know if he's a better horse or not. We're going to find out.
We will, and he's getting bet right now, down from 15-1 on the morning line, all the way down to 8-1 currently in the pari-mutuel pool. And let's one more question for you, Jeremy, here. What is the most surprising thing you are seeing right now in this pari-mutuel pool? Because we have a lot of odds that are changing. You're getting 4-1 on journalism. You're seeing Sandman get bet off the board, Render Judgment bet off the board. What to you is the most surprising thing we're seeing in the betting pools?
It's not surprising that there are no big numbers on the back end. Like, this happens in the Derby a lot. There aren't 90-1 shots in the Derby often. Like, the public stays with these horses pretty close to 30-1 to 40-1. So when you see a lot of 30-1s that are in a morning line, everybody flips out and says, how could you make all those horses that low? That's how they get bet. So when you look at it this year, it's not surprised that the top-end horse is like around 40-1. That's fairly normal in the Derby. Render Judgment's the one that's surprising amount of money. I know the publicity with the Toby Keith stuff. They've been on Fox. They've been in a lot of major media places. I'm from Oklahoma, a Sooner, and so I've gotten a million texts from people in Oklahoma who are like really backing, this horse, and Bob Stoops is behind him and everything like that. But, the folks in Oklahoma are not making this horse the price that he is in the tote board for the Kentucky Derby. So I'm surprised the amount of money Render Judgment's taking, because he to me seems like he should be one of the 2 or 3 longest shots on the board.
That money would be better spent on the NIL fund for Oklahoma football than putting it on Render Judgment here this year.
For that,
right?
That I would go for.
Me too.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. Appreciate your time. Good luck today.
All right, guys. Good luck. Happy Derby, everybody.
He is Jeremy Plonk. You can find him at Horse Players Now. They Express Bet, First Bet does a great job with tournaments as well. Make sure you check them out. Horseplayers.com, horsetourneys.com as well. I love playing on there. You'll see my name hopefully at the top of the leaderboard of the tournament you're playing. If you're looking to bet the Derby, we're just 30 minutes away. Head over to firstbet.com now. Take your betting to the next level with First Bet, whether it's Santa Anita, Gulfstream Park, or Churchill Downs like it supposedly or surely is today. First Bet puts the action at your fingertips. Sign up now at firstbet.com. That's the number 1, STBET.com. Use promo code VSiN200 to score a 20% rebate on all your wagers for the first 60 days, up to $200. That's right. Win or lose, you get money back every bet you make. Don't miss out. Bet smarter today at firstbet.com. We will be right back here, VSiN at the Track on Kentucky Derby Day. We are just 30 minutes away from the big race. Let's dissect this puppy.
You're tuned in to VSiN at the Track, the road to the Kentucky Derby, right here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Welcome back with us here, VSiN at the Track on Kentucky Derby Day. I am Mike Somich. He is Aaron Halterman, and we are just 30 minutes away from the Run for the Roses, which means it's time to break everything down. The people out there want to know what the pace is going to look like, who's going to win the race, where the exotics are going to come in. But before we do that, Aaron, got to give you your flowers. You are alive in the pick 4 that we gave out at the top of the show. $48 ticket live to 4 horses. Who do you got, and what are the payouts here?
Yeah, it's we're getting stressed about it, right? I've got the 8, the 14, the 17, and the 18, so I do have four horses live. And look, if it's the 8 or it's the 14, or excuse me, the 8 or the 18, it is what it is, right? It's a small payout, a couple $100, not a big deal there. But if we can get this 14 home, it pays over $1,000, right around $1,200. If we can get the 17 home, that Sandman, it's going to pay about $600. So, hey, we'll take any of it's profit. But if you did play this ticket, you're definitely rooting for the 14 and 17 to get home, especially that 14 to get over $1,000 on a $48 ticket. That's what horse racing is all about. That's what you're trying to do. So we'll see if it happens. I'm very nervous and stressed about it because it's a Derby. It can be tough to win it, right? But we'll see what happens. But like I said, even if journalism wins, it's still a nice little profit.
Don't sell yourself short here, Aaron. $1,295 to the 14, $663 to the 17. So hopefully, for anyone who bet this, you can get one of those two home. I won't be rooting for those two horses, but we at least have some rooting interest now in these horses. All right, let's look at this Derby top to bottom. We got to start with journalism, the 8 horse. Right now, your favorite at 7-2 with about $61 million bet on the race. So we're probably going to stay right around that 7-2 range. I don't think we're going to move too much. It would take a very, very large wager to do it at this point. He's the favorite for a reason. It's the best horse we've seen in this 3-year-old crop. Was awesome in both Santa Anita Derby as well as the San Felipe out there at Santa Anita. Aaron, I know you're picking journalism, so I will give you the floor. Why is journalism going to win the Kentucky Derby?
Well, look, I think you said it. He's the best horse in the race. That's number one. And I just thought his race at the Santa Anita Derby last time out, we showed a little bit earlier in the show, he had trouble in that race. They tried to gang up on him. I know there was only 4 other horses in the race there with him, but they really tried to pin him in. They really tried to make it difficult. He had a target on his back, and he was able to overcome all of that. And so that's super impressive. You look at speed figures, and that's kind of how you measure a horse of how fast they're running, right? He's been fantastic. He's better than everybody in that category as well. I thought Jeremy Plonk made a very good point. He's beaten Bob Baffert horses 3 straight races. Bob Baffert has thrown every horse he has in the barn at this horse, and he can't beat him. And I think that's significant because Bob Baffert wins races in bunches in Southern California. So all those reasons, I absolutely love this horse. And Bob Baffert even mentioned, hey, my horse Rodriguez, who won the Wood Memorial and had to scratch today, but I took him to the Wood Memorial in New York at Aqueduct to get away from journalism because I didn't think he could beat him. That is a glowing compliment for journalism. And look, I know he's the favorite. I know it's not, a super flashy pick. He's good enough odds here. He really should not be 4-1 or 7-2. He should be a little lower. So I'm all about it. I've got confidence in him. Hopefully he just runs how I think he's going to run.
I think journalism runs first or second here. It's the Derby. I want to take a little bit better of a price, and I feel like Sovereignty right now being forgotten. The number 18 horse right now, 9-1 in the pari-mutuel pool, was 5-1 your second choice on the morning line. And because of all the money coming in out of some of the storylines, Sovereignty getting ignored a little bit here. This is a horse that has won over this Churchill Downs track, coming from dead last in the Grade 3 Street Sense. His final race as a 2-year-old was able to motor on by and win by 5 lengths over, 2 horses that are in this race, Sandman and Tiztastic. He won down at Gulfstream Park in his debut. I think he had a little trip trouble in the Florida Derby, ends up running second to Tappan Street there. He's won over this track. We should have a hot pace. The price is right. Give me Sovereignty, the 18 here at 9-1. I will have a pretty big 8-18 exacted, though, because I do think that journalism has a big shot here. Other horses on the board, Sandman right now, your second choice at 5-1. The third choice right now is Sovereignty at 9-1. Your third choice is actually Luxor Cafe at 8-1. Your fourth choice, Sovereignty at 9-1. Then we've got a host of horses right around 10-1, including American Promise, including Citizen Bull. So there's Baeza at 15-1. We've seen his odds slowly drop down there. When you're looking at building exotics, Aaron, who are the horses you feel you have to use with journalism here when you're trying to build out those trifectas, the superfectas?
Yeah, and so when you have a short price on top, you've got to put some prices, at least one underneath, to kind of make this thing pay. Now, it is the Kentucky Derby. The payouts usually are a little bit larger. with these big days. But the key long shot for me is the number 14 Tistastic. I just have loved this horse ever since he won the Louisiana Derby. That was a race at 1 mile and 3/16, and you saw him improve greatly. He had never been further than 1 mile and 1/16 before. That stretch out really improved. He was able to weave in and out of traffic that day as well. I thought that was super impressive. So my key horse, like underneath of journalism, is Tistastic. I'm super excited to try to play him today and get him involved. And right now, I mean, he's over 20-1. That's definitely good enough for me. I do like Sandman. I do like Sovereignty. I've got them involved in tickets as well. But Tistastic is that long shot that if he can hit the board and journalism can win, that's really going to help me quite a bit with my payouts with the exactas or the trifectas.
Tistastic right now on the board at 23-1. I comp him to Mage. He's athletic. He can weave through horses, as you mentioned. You need that when you are in a race with 19 other horses. You have to be able to beat horses to pass, beat horses to holes on the backstretch to get the right trip to be able to get up and be able to finish in the top 3. Tistastic has that talent. Now, Aaron, we haven't talked a lot about the speed horses here, so let's get to some of this speed here. We've got the 1 horse, Citizen Bull, for Bob Baffert, 12-1 on the rail. He'll be forwardly placed. Nyquist, the 2 horse, Neo Equos, the 2 horse, 40-1. He'll be forwardly placed. American Promise, 30-1 morning line, bet down to 11-1. The 5 horse, he's going to want the lead. The 12 horse, East Avenue, floated up to 40-1. He's going to want to be forwardly placed as well. Do any of these horses have a chance at sticking around in this race?
I do think the number 1 Citizen Bull does have a little bit of a chance to stick around. We've seen him take fields gate to wires all the time. That is what he does. Last time out in the Santa Anita Derby, he was pathetic. It was not a good race from him. Here's the deal, though. I think if he can break well, he's got the inside post, right? He's got to break well. If he breaks well and he gets to the lead on the rail and maybe they back off a little bit or a couple of speed horses have trouble and they're not quite going that fast, I do think Citizen Bull has a chance to sit the shortest way around the racetrack, try to stick to that rail and take him gate to wire. So I don't give him a great chance, Somich, but I do think if there is one horse that can do it, it's him. But he has got to improve off that last race. It was just not good at all in the Santa Anita Derby. He's got to get back to those earlier races when he was winning in gate to wire fashion.
I agree with you. He has to get out early. If either East Avenue or Citizen Bull clears, I think they have a shot to stick around. The question is, can they clear everybody else? They're the 2 most talented speed horses in my mind. Now, every single year, Aaron, we've got the Superfecta at the Kentucky Derby. It is the holy grail of horse race betting. $1 base wager. The last 10 years, the average payout has been $51,000. We put some tickets together for everybody out there. I'm going to be honest, neither of these is paying $51,000. I'd be happy with mine paying about $2,000 to $3,000. You need a crazy price in first, and I just don't see it that way this year. I think 2 horses have a very legitimate shot at winning this race. That is the number 8 Journalism, 7-2 currently on the board, and the number 18 Sovereignty. I'm going to put both of them in the first place position. In the second place position, I will include the number 8 Journalism, the number 18 Sovereignty, and I'll add the number 14 Tistastic, who we recently talked about. And then in third and fourth position, I'm going to go with the number 3 Final Gambit, the number 8 Journalism, the number 14 Tistastic, the number 18 Sovereignty, and the number 21 Baeza all the way on the outside. For this to cash, I would need the 8 or 18 to run first, the 8, 14, or 18 to run second, and then the 3, 8, 14, 18, or 21 to run both third or fourth. $24 ticket. Hopefully it turns into about $3,000 in 30 minutes, Aaron. What do you got for us in the Superfecta?
I love that ticket. We're very similar. My big difference from you is I'm just playing the number 8 Journalism in the first spot. So Journalism has to win or this ticket will be dead. I'm going to go 14, 17, and 18 in the second spot. That is Tistastic, Sandman, Sovereignty. I'm going to add 1 horse in the third spot. Going to go 14, 17, 18, 21. That is Baeza. He drew into the race. I'll put him in the third spot. And then in the fourth spot, Citizen Bull, I just talked about. I'm going to put the 1, 14, 17, 18, 21 at Citizen Bull. And then, of course, with Tistastic, Sandman, Sovereignty, and Baeza. $27 ticket here. I'm with you. I'm trying to get a couple thousand out of this, 1,000 to 2,000. It's not going to pay what you just said and pay a bunch of money, but I had the same opinion as you. I think it's pretty straightforward this year. Famous last words, right? The Kentucky Derby. But I do feel that way. I feel like if Journalism doesn't win, it will be a horse like Sovereignty, who you like quite a bit. So I think it'll be pretty chalky up top, trying to get those prices like Tistastic and, of course, Citizen Bull kind of in those underneath positions.
Well, we'll know more in 20 minutes, but if you want to get VSiN content all year round, make sure you head over to VSiN.com/subscribe. We've got a deal running for you right now. For a limited time, you can get the annual subscription worth $240 for just $199. And guess what? We'll tack on 2 months right on top of that. Just use the promo code PRO, P-R-O, over at VSiN.com/subscribe. You'll get all the daily best bets from VSiN hosts and guests, exclusive splits from DraftKings and Circa, plus 24/7 live video and show replays on your VSiN Watch app. Guess what? It also includes all the guides we do, the baseball guide, the college football guide, and next year's Kentucky Derby guide. Stick with us here, VSiN at the Track on Kentucky Derby Day. We are just 20 minutes from post.
Running a business can be exhausting. Building your website shouldn't be. With Wix, you can express your ideas, give direction, then leave the heavy lifting to AI. From site creation to branded content and images. Have fun with the details. Customize what you want the way you want. And manage your whole business from a centralized dashboard with expert AI tools. Build, scale, and enjoy the incredible results. You can do it all yourself on Wix.
NetCredit is here to say yes to a personal loan or line of credit when other lenders say no. Apply in minutes and get a decision as soon as the same day. Loans offered by NetCredit or lending partner banks and serviced by NetCredit. Application subject to review and approval. Learn more at netcredit.com/partner. NetCredit. Credit to the people.
Tuned in to VSiN at the Track, the road to the Kentucky Derby, right here on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Welcome back in at VSiN at the Track on Kentucky Derby Day. We are 18 minutes away, and we just got an updated post time from Churchill Downs. Look like it's going to go off at 7:03 Eastern, so 18 more minutes here till the Kentucky Derby kicks off. We've been on for the last 2 hours and 45 minutes, and we've gotten a lot of opinions from a lot of people. Chris Felica on journalism. We have Patrick Maher making a good decision going with sovereignty, much like me. Aaron's on journalism. But we got more picks than that, too. We've got a lot of people who put picks in over the last couple of weeks. We'll start out here with Dave Tully. You can find his work over at VSiN.com. He likes journalism as your most likely winner, but he likes both Final Gambit and Tistastic as prices underneath. I agree with Dave. I like those prices. I think they both got a shot to hit something here. We've got Ed Sheehan's picks as well. He's going with a unique top three, Aaron. East Avenue on top, 20-1, 40-1 currently in the betting windows there. Journalism 3-1. Burnham Square, the 9-horse there at 12-1. Aaron, you're up next, so I'll let you talk about who you like.
Yeah, here we go. So here's the winners here. No, listen, I'm going to go sovereignty on, or excuse, geez.
There we go. There we go.
I'm going to go journalism. How about that? I'm going to go journalism on top here. I've liked him since March, so I think he's the horse to beat. Tistastic at second for me, trying to juice up the payouts a little bit there with Tistastic. Sandman is who I'm going to go in with third. And then Sovereignty, number 4, not number 1. Number 4. So journalism, Tistastic, sovereignty. Excuse me, Sandman and sovereignty.
Well, you almost got the winner right once today. So at least if sovereignty ends up winning, we can just use that clip for socials for you, so you can say you had the winner in this year's Kentucky Derby. Millie Ball also sent her picks in over at VSiN.com. You can find her work over at firstbet.com, and she makes some good picks, let me tell you. Sovereignty on top, the number 18. Luxor Cafe, the 7 and second, who we've had a lot of guests talk about today, from Steve Bick to Jeremy Plunk, both talking about Luxor Cafe, and he has a big shot in this race. Journalism in the third spot there. We also have had guests on all week on VSiN talking about who they like. Let's hear from some of the people over at the VSiN television station who they are picking in the 151st run for the Roses.
I'm looking at these 5 horses right now, 8, 3, 9, 18, and 17.
I like Citizen Bull as a horse to potentially finish last.
You want a crazy big price, the number 3, Final Gambit. This horse 30-1 on the morning line. I've seen as high as 50-1 in fixed odds markets. He's going to be flying home late. I'm not sure if he's able to win the race, but he's definitely one you want to include in your trifecta and your superfecta bets come Derby Day.
Which one of those two do you think might be able to press journalism the most?
I would go with Sovereignty on that. Sovereignty will get into the mix a little quicker on journalism than
than anybody else.
I do believe that despite the fact he's coming from the outside, the 18th post, which has won like 2 races, sovereignty, I like to mix him in with journalism, and I'm going to throw in Luxor Cafe. I like those 3 as a mix in my trifecta. I'll box them up.
For me, at least, it has all been about one horse who's coming in at a big bomb of a price in 30-1 on the morning line in American Promise.
I got to say, the atmosphere is officially getting a little bit crazy here at the D downtown Las Vegas. I literally have a horse placing bets behind me right now. Over here to my right, we've got a cocktail bar going, and Sigma Derby is popping off right now. If you've never played Sigma Derby at the D in downtown Las Vegas, you are missing out. It's a phenomenal race. Take some quarters. Great way to drink. If you're into that, make sure you check out the D Resort and Casino downtown Las Vegas here. That's where we're broadcasting live from here on Bar Canada. If you're joining us on SiriusXM Channel 158, on SiriusXM Mad Dog Sports Radio. If you're on the Watch VSiN app, if you're on any of those terrestrial radio stations around the country, thank you very much for tuning in here for Road to the Kentucky Derby. Yeah, the horse just walked behind me again. It's phenomenal. I love it. It's great. This is why you need a VSiN Pro subscription. You can get all this video right now. Aaron, we are less than 15 minutes away from the Kentucky Derby. We've heard all of these picks, but we earlier had the absolute joy of Dave Johnson gracing us with his angelic voice. He's called more than 25 Kentucky Derbies, and he went to the future and called this one for us. Let's play the Dave Johnson Derby call as he picks his winner in this year's Kentucky Derby.
Yes. They turn for home with Tiz-Tastic and Sovereignty battling for the lead as journalism charges up on the outside. But here comes Baeza in the middle of the track, and down the stretch they come. Tastic on the rail, journalism on the outside, 4 of them. It's a photo finish. What a race.
That still gives me chills every time. Down the stretch they come. For years, that was the voice that you heard when you listened to Triple Crown Racing. Dave Johnson, their legendary announcer in the horse racing world. A phenomenal experience to have him on. Really appreciate that. We'll have Patrick Maher back on a little bit later in the show to recap everything that happened here in the Kentucky Derby. But Aaron, we've got exactly 13 minutes till they break from the gates in the Run for the Roses here. We've got to recap the odds board. Right now, journalism holding strong as your favorite at 7-2. Any surprise Sandman still sitting there at 5-1, not floating up at all?
No surprise to me whatsoever. I think we kind of knew that, hey, there's a lot of money in this pool. It's going to take a lot of money to change the odds now, and I just don't think that's going to happen. So, no, not surprising at all. And how about that? You got a guy like Dave Johnson, the legend of all legends, calling a race, and then you got a guy walking behind you in a horse suit making a bet. This show's had it all, Somich. I mean, you can't get any more different than that. But, no, as far as the tote board goes, Sandman being 5-1, not a surprise, and it continues to be a horse like Ridner Judgment being bet lower than a horse like Tiz-Tastic. Obviously, a big surprise there, but it is what it is. That public money is rolling in, no doubt.
I would be lying if I didn't say I have worn one of those suits before. So I have. I've graced myself in a horse suit. It was for a beer pong tournament, oddly enough, but it was a lot of fun. Oh. Shout out there to the Jensen Invitational. Luxor Cafe sitting at 8-1. This horse is taking a ton of action. 15-1 morning line. We are seeing him consistently get bet. You mentioned it. At some point, a Japanese horse will win this race. Do you think the 8-1 price on Luxor Cafe is high enough to go to the window that it's going to be this year?
I just can't, and that's not me saying he has no chance to win. I don't want to bet 8-1 on a horse that so many unknowns, number one, and then, like I said, the Japanese horses have not been able to come over here and win yet. So you don't want to take that short of a price. And look, Jeremy Plonk talked about and broke down the Japanese horses a little bit earlier in the show. And I kind of think Forever Young is just a horse last year that got third and ran tremendous. I just think he's a little bit better horse than Luxor Cafe. So I'm kind of I'll let Luxor Cafe beat me at 8-1. The Japanese will win this one day, but 8-1's a little bit too short of a price for me. So I'm going to stay away from Luxor Cafe.
The horses have entered the track. They are under the Twin Spires, getting their first feeling since the walkover of that Churchill Downs muddy course. It is going to be a sloppy Kentucky Derby here, but it looks like the rain is holding off for the actual race, so we should have cloudy skies, maybe a little bit of sun there for the 151st Run for the Roses. And one of the big storylines heading in, Bob Baffert returns. After being suspended, he is back. He had Citizen Bull and Rodriguez. Rodriguez scratches out on Thursday. Citizen Bull, the last Baffert left in this field from a crop that we thought could have as many as 5. Do we think the 2-year-old champion has a shot at winning under the Twin Spires today?
I think he has a shot. I don't know how good of a shot, though. I do think you got to respect him. He's got the class. He drew the rail. That's not great, but if somehow he just breaks like a rocket and gets into position, maybe he can overcome it. I think his odds are a little bit too low to bet a win wager, though. But I do think he does come in with a shot. I think he'll run a little bit better than what we think. I just don't think it's a great shot for this horse this year. But it's not impossible. It's Bob Baffert with a speed horse. We've seen him do it before. But you're right. It seems like the better horses, the horses we were really excited about, they just didn't pan out for Bob Baffert this year. So we're kind of just left with Citizen Bull.
The break is going to be incredibly important for Citizen Bull. Has to get out to the lead if he wants a shot to win. The biggest maiden in the ball, Steve Asmussen, yet to win a Kentucky Derby, even though he is the most winningest trainer of all time. This is the one that's missing from the resume. He's got 2 horses in today. Tistastic, the number 14, 23-1, and Publisher, the number 13, who is also a maiden, is yet to win a race. Do you think Asmussen breaks the curse today?
I sure wish, but I don't think so, because I just don't think he's going to be able to beat Journalism. I do really love Tistastic. We've talked about him all show. I think he's got a shot for him for sure, but I just don't know that he's going to be able to beat Journalism. Publisher still a maiden. How poetic would it be if Publisher breaks the maiden on Derby Day, but also breaks Steve Asmussen's maiden, and they both get their first career wins? One coming in the Kentucky Derby would be unbelievable. I just think it might be another one of those situations where he got a couple horses that run well, but they don't get there. Asmussen wants this one worse than any other race at this point, but I'm not confident that today is going to be the day for him.
We mentioned Sandman the 17, 5-1, getting heavily bet. He lost 2 races ago to Coal Battle, who is the number 16 horse, 26-1. We heard that this horse missed a workout before the Arkansas Derby. Do you think Coal Battle can rebound and hit the Super today?
Yeah, look, he's a great story. I kind of hope he runs well. It's from a very tiny barn. They've never been at a race of this caliber, let alone the Kentucky Derby. I don't think he's going to rebound Somich. I just think he's a good horse. I don't think he's a great horse. I think he got to be great to win this race. So I don't have him played, but I am rooting for him. That'd be a hell of a story if he got the job done.
A lot of fun storylines here in the Kentucky Derby. It's going to be number 18, Sovereignty for me, 9-1. Aaron likes number 8, Journalism, 7-2. You've got 8 minutes to place your bets over on firstbet.com. Make sure you do that. On the other side of this, we will recap everything that's going on over at Churchill as they enter the gates, and then talk about the race as it goes live here. This is VSiN at the Track on Kentucky Derby Day.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on your kids' spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely, and parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Sign up for Greenlight today at greenlight.com/podcast.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com.